we're going to import all this, these graphic elements that we've got and try and build a little sort of commercial style animation. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to import my 3D phone that we've animated in Cinema 4D. So over in my project window on the left, I'm just going to right click and import a file. I'm going to browse for my render, which I'm not quite sure where it is. Give me a second and I'll find it. This looks like it here. Yep, that's the one there. So this is the files that I've downloaded off the Moodle page, and it's 100 frames of a slight turn of a Galaxy mobile phone. Okay, so when I come to import that file, or that file sequence, all I need to do is select the first frame in that sequence. After Effects should already understand that it's a numbered PNG sequence, so you don't need to select all the files. Just grab the first one and make sure PNG sequence is ticked. The other thing I want to do is just make sure that this sequence is going to play back at 25 frames a second. After Effects defaults to 30, so I can see here if I just select my sequence, it's telling me it's 30 frames a second. I need to right click it, interpret the footage, go into the main settings and make sure After Effects knows it's 25 frames a second. The other thing I want to do while I'm here is go to the alpha channel. So remember, the alpha channel is the transparency channel of a graphics sequence. And I know, because I rendered this, that there's nothing in the background. It's a plain black background. So I'm going to set the alpha setting to pre-multiplied with black. So that just means it's rendered with transparency in the background, and the background color was black when I rendered it. So 25 frames a second and transparent. Okay, so that was 4 seconds long. Now the composition, this sequence I'm going to make is actually going to be a bit longer than that. I want to make one that's maybe 6 seconds long. So before I do anything else, I'm going to make a composition to start putting all these graphics into. So I'm going to go to my composition menu and make a new composition. I'm going to make sure that it's 1920 by 1080 pixels. That's our standard full HD. I'm going to make sure it's at 25 frames a second. And this is just going to be a short sequence. I'm going to make it 6 seconds. Remember, you can change all this stuff at any time if you want to. You're not locked into it when you set it up. And it's not a bad idea as well to name your compositions. It's really common in After Effects to have a whole bunch of compositions as you're working. So I'm just going to call this Galaxy Comp. Galaxy Comp. Yep, spelled it right. Okay, so now I've got my composition down the bottom here, and I'm going to drag and drop my phone into this composition. Now I can see my composition is 6 seconds long, my footage is 4 seconds, and all it is this partial rotation of the phone. And it looks pretty good. That's a pretty smart looking phone. It's a really good clean render, and I'm pretty happy with that. Now, the first thing I want is that I want this phone to be in the composition for the entire length of that composition. It's doing this little reveal, it's side on, it rotates around, and then it sits there. I want it to stay like that once it's stopped moving. I don't have any more frames off the end here. It's just kind of, it goes for 4 seconds and then it's gone. What I could do is I could go back to Cinema 4D and I could render another 2 seconds of this, but that'd be a bit of a waste of time because the picture's not moving, it's just a still image of the phone. So that would be a waste of my time. But what I can do is I can do a thing called time remapping in After Effects, and that lets you take any kind of graphical or animated sequence and change the speed of it and change whether you can hold it at the ends or the start at all. So this is really easy to do. What I'm going to do is select my phone footage, right click it and go to time, and I want to turn on enable time remapping. So time remapping lets us change the speed, it lets us speed up and slow down, it lets us play things backwards. All I want to do for this though is once the time remapping is enabled, I can now extend my graphic to the end of the composition. All I need to do is grab the end of that sequence and pull it along the end there. The way that time remapping works is it gives you a keyframe at the start and end of your sequence, and it says at this keyframe the movie has played through this amount of time, and in this case it's 0 seconds of time. So at the start it hasn't played anything. At the end of the movie, which is 4 seconds, my time remap says it's played through 4 seconds of the movie. So you can animate at any point in time where the playback of that movie is going to be. We don't need to change the animation of it during that 4 second. We just want it to hold afterwards. And we can just turn on time remapping and extend that, and it will just keep whatever the last keyframe value was. So it's saying from here onwards, just use this value, which is the 4 second mark of our animation. Yep. Okay, I'll stop there.